Okay, guys, good morning. I trust you're well, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Jimmy, and I'm joined by Jade, a very good friend of mine. I was going to be taking us through a number of sessions, and I hope we all like it, and I hope we learn something out of it. If you can hear me, you can just say something, or you can just chat and say you can hear, just to confirm.
I'm shouting saying that I can
hear you.
Thank you, guys. Jade, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you doing?
You're doing well.
You can hear me clearly?
Myself, yes.
Okay. I hope everyone
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, great.
Very clear, very clear.
Awesome. Hey, Mato, hi.
Mato labda hajakusikia.
I don't know. Hi.
Martin Washira is a very, very, very good friend of mine from where we've come from. A very surprising story. Martin Washira was the first person to actually take me to Safaricom to submit. That was back in 2011, if I'm not wrong.
Wow.
Yes. So yes. So any bug bounty that comes from Safaricom, Martin is one of the guys that should actually be recognized for it.
Martin, karibu sana.
I'm so proud of where my
He keeps on saying he's so far off, but this guy had the guts. This guy had the guts to write to Safaricom audit. At that time, the head of Safaricom audit was Nzioka Waita, and the deputy to him was, I believe, Sharon D'Souza. And Martin wrote to them.
Sure.
There's actually a very funny story to that. There was an email that we messed up when we were writing, and instead of Martin writing, I think it was who are, he wrote ho, and it was so.
Your memory is so good, man. You still remember all the details.
I remember everything. It was so cool. It was so weird, and we got sued. But it was so cool. Martin is a very, very good friend of mine. Yes, Martin.
That's when Soro used to. It was a big thing, but he didn't really have confidence. So I was
I didn't. I did not. I kid you not. The one person who would have walked me. I am not even kidding you. The person who walked me in Safaricom was Martin. I remember I was wearing a red and black college jacket, and blue jeans or something, and Timberlands. Yes, but Martin was in full regalia, like he was in official attire. It was so weird. Martin presenting. Okay, so this is our hacker. This is our hacker, but I am the spokesperson. Yeah, that's what he said. He literally said, "This is our hacker, and this guy over here, this is our hacker here." But I am. Let me just put on my video. So it was like, "This is our hacker, and I am the spokesperson." And well, he did look like the spokesperson because he was in official wear and all that. And I was just there looking out of place.
I'm the manager.
Scared. Martin took over the whole meeting, took control of the lawyers who were threatening us. He said no. We are coming here to try and explain what we are supposed to do and so on. It was so cool. It was so cool. Anyway, guys.
That's a funny story, man. I would love to hear more of that.
You should meet. By the way, you should meet Martin. He's a very, very cool chap. Very, very cool.
Martin, you need to meet, eh?
You need to. And he's an alumni from KU, just like you. Yeah, he's from KU, just like you. So you guys will catch up with a lot of details to talk about.
Awesome.
So I hope everyone is here. Jimmy, take over.
Yeah, so Jade, I think you'll be the one to take us through. Basically, guys, this is all about cybersecurity and how you can get, and what are the requirements in terms of skills, preparation, and all that. And then we'll take you through what you can actually focus and, measure into in terms of the subcategories that are in cybersecurity. So Jade will take us through the first phase. Then after that, I'll take us on the next one.
Oh, awesome. I'm still learning how to use Zoom on sharing the desktop.
Don't worry, we all learn every day.
The one thing that I've never really understood is when you get into cybersecurity, you can be really good at so many things, but you can get stuck trying to configure a printer. I am not kidding you.
Remember the time I was doing a presentation at Dusit, and then I couldn't connect the screen.
And you couldn't be able to just connect the screen to an
moment.
external screen. It was so weird. Everyone is like, okay, so this is the hacker who's supposed to teach us this really wonderful thing, but it's not going to. So I'm going to really speak about some of these things and some of the fears that most people have, especially when you're joining, cybersec or information security. And one of the issues that I will start speaking before I even go to my PowerPoint is something called the imposter syndrome. And this is the one bit that nobody really talks about, because I think the fear of trying to explain to people that there's sometimes that you have a fear that you're not good enough can probably portray you as not being, skillful or understanding of the systems or capabilities that you possess. So in my personal opinion, I have so many places that I have found that issue where I literally even will be afraid to even present something that I have probably found, like a bug or an issue or just something that I've just come across. Case in point, the little bit that we were talking about with Martin. At that time, I'll give an example. I had found a way to be able to show that I can withdraw money from M-Pesa without having money on M-Pesa, or rather all mobile platforms, mobile money transfer platforms. And I needed someone to hold my hand to get me inside Safaricom and, present my case. And that person was Martin. So one of the bits of imposter syndrome is that you will probably get to a level that you're very, very good. You're very okay. Your skills are, something that you look forward to always. You want to shine in front of your friends. You want to shine in front of your colleagues. You want to shine even in front of yourself, when you challenge yourself. But you get this imposter syndrome where you're always so scared to move forward, even maybe to apply a job. Sometimes you see someone has given you an offer like, hey, principal security engineer, and the first thing you go and you Google the former person who was there, you find they have like 69 certificates, they have 3 million skills listed on LinkedIn, they have a ton of experience, and you're thinking, okay, so how do I fit into these shoes? So part of the things that we're going to, talk about is that, but the first one is going to be where to start. I have a PowerPoint here. I am going to try my very best to know how to share that. I think it's press share screen.
Yes.
There we go. I hope everyone can see this. Can you guys see this? I'm sharing my screen, so it's going to take a while because
loading.
Yeah, my firewall is an asshole for this. I'm sorry, I cuss a lot.
Yeah,
We can see your screen.
You can? Oh, great. Yeah, let's just give it a few seconds. I have Commodore firewall. It kind of makes sure that everything that is running on your computer is kind of curated. So from processes, network, and so on and so forth. So I don't know what it's doing right now. So I'm just going to wait. I think, please move this window away from the shared application. I think that's that. So can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so let me just start what's the shortcut to start a slideshow?
At the top there with some icon on your right. At the top.
Yeah, I can hardly see it because of the, here.
Second one on your left, that one.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, I don't know. So, hi guys, again, my name is Jade Thuo. I'm going to be taking you into details about where to start your career path options, where to probably train yourself, what you should focus on, what you shouldn't focus on, what you shouldn't be worried about, what you should be worried about sometimes. And let's get to it, because we have like around, I think, 30 minutes for this session before the other session starts. So where to start? I've always had this on my Twitter DMs mostly, and I've seen it in very many forums where you find people asking like, okay, so where do I start? Where do I point my skills to? I've done this programming, I've done BBIT, I have not done any computer related degree, I've not done any diploma. Very funny thing, we have a friend, me and Jimmy, and probably maybe someone else here, who's an architect, but he's on information security to a point that he got so good that he moved out of the country and went to Morocco, I believe. Yes, Jimmy?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. So he went to Morocco and he heads a team there for blue team. We will talk about what blue team and red team and purple team and the rest of the likes. Jimmy will cover probably most of those. So anyway, so where do you start? So to be really honest, there's really no one path to cybersecurity or information security. So many people come from different angles. There are people who love solving puzzles. So information security for them is like a huge puzzle that they really want to focus on. There are people who just love destroying things. Case in point, me, I really love trying to take things apart and trying to find out what exactly is happening. I may not reconstruct them back, but I really like to understand like what is the mechanism that works on this system, this website, this mobile application, this GSM phone, this baseband firewall, this whatever it is. I like tearing things apart. I don't necessarily getting them back together to become a whole product again. That's not really my style, but I really do like tearing things apart. There are people who love InfoSec for the bit that it's, whatever people consider as magic. Because when you bypass something, people say, oh, that's so cool. Can you show me how to do that again? And, there are people who get into it just because of that. So it's not one clear path that I can say like, you have to have a degree from computer science, you have to have a degree from, computer engineering and so on and so forth. No, not really. It's really dependent on your passion. So in my opinion, it's one of those things that you get onto like football. You can enjoy playing football, watching football, betting on football, giving statistics on footballs, curating football, giving football news. It's pretty much kind of the same thing. So if you jump into security, the first bit, you should get rid of the fear that, I don't have this degree, I don't have this philosophy where I came from, like, I was 4 years old when I created my first virus, which is good. It's good. It's your own path, but you don't necessarily have to come from that place. You don't have to come from a degree point of view. You don't have to come from, a philosophical point of view. It just has to come from yourself. It's an interest that you get from yourself and you work towards it. So, and Jimmy will talk about this in a very huge scope where he'll explain, I believe, there's so many areas to cybersecurity that there is a place for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're an artist. If you're an artist, you probably end up doing things like cryptography or something like stenography, where you try and break code from, other file systems or files or, pictures and so on and so forth. If you are an active person, you can probably do red teaming, where you physically test systems, like actually physically trying to break into locks and, smart locks and gates and CCTVs. It's an open field for everyone. I doubt that this is, it's in my opinion, I'm not trashing any other career path that you probably choose, but it's not like medicine. It's not something that you need to mix up a chemical to find out anything about it, but you do need to have, some insight and some push inside you that, you push yourself. I want to just learn cybersecurity for the sake of it, or for my sake, for fun, for magic purposes, for showing off, for purposes that you get money, for purposes that you get recognition, or if that's your thing, or maybe you just want to better your skill. You want to grow yourself to a path that, you feel comfortable in that area. So there's not really a true one true path that you can say like, only people who succeed in information security come from a background of computer science, or they come from a background of, maybe development or being a programmer or so on and so forth. It does help in some places, and we're going to look at that, but it's not something that you really need to hold on to and say, I didn't get my degree, so I'm not going to, do this and this and that. There's so many people here who do cybersec or information security that really have no degrees, and it's okay. I've seen on Reddit someone asking for help to become a cybersecurity engineer, and they were a truck driver in the US. And it was so amazing when you look at the thread that followed, how he would show his progress, his journey. And sooner or later, he got his OSCP. He went and trained for an OSCP certification. And he did not have any like degree or diploma or anything. So it's not really anything that you studied back in university, studied back in high school or anything, but it really does help to attain the goal a little bit faster, especially maybe you have a degree. It helps you conceptualize whatever you are working on, maybe networks, maybe programming, maybe finding bugs on software. So it kind of does help when you have, the knowledge to understand how a C program looks like. And when you reverse it, you kind of know this is a variable, this is what, and so on and so forth. It does help, but it's not standard. It's not the true path. There are people who have done degrees in computer engineering and IT and ICT and so on and so forth, even masters on, they will not probably have the same skill set as you. So it really doesn't depend on any of that. So just to look at this, so I will say first is focus your interests. That is the most important bit, in my opinion. Focus your interests. When I got into cybersecurity, I really never knew what I will do. But I got into cybersecurity, especially the space that people know me. They know me for GSM, mobile, and so on and so forth. So I got into that because I didn't have internet personally. That's what literally drove me into, I want to learn how to bypass internet payment subscriptions so that I can be able to browse for free, download things for free. Well, that's how I got in. That's around, I believe, if I'm not wrong, around 11 years back. But in my opinion, if I got into trying to hack websites, that's where I'll be. I have a friend, he's called Munir. He's very, very good on web security. He got into web security because he loved building tools, I believe, on centered around, web security. But if he decided to probably center his focus on something like mobile, he probably even will be much better than me on mobile, because it's whatever you put and you focus as your interest. So the first thing I will urge you to do is, as the PowerPoint says, focus or think 5 to 10 years ahead. So what's your ultimate security career? It can be you going to Google. So what's the new thing? Will AI need to have security? Will cryptocurrencies need to have security? Mobile is the biggest growth in terms of technology, to a point that you see even the processors that are used on the mobile phones are now being pushed into the laptop scenario, where you have like the M1 computers from Apple, where they're now running ARM based processors that came from mobile. So you can look at your focus on something like that, like 5-10 years from now, what will be the in thing? 5 to 10 years from now, e-commerce will be crazy. It will be huge. Delivery will be huge. So that means GD, is it GDRP or GD? Yeah, so will be, it will be a very huge thing. You will find items like securing those websites will be a very huge thing. API security will be a very huge thing. Mobile transactions will be a very huge thing. So just focus within that, so that you don't fall back. You don't end up getting into a place that you end up getting stuck because some security aspect has been removed from those products and so on and so forth, or those products have been discontinued. IoT is a very huge thing. Look into it and so on and so forth. So think 5 to 10 years ahead. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? Would you want to be, wealthy from this? Is it like a hobby? Is it a skill? Is it something that will always pay you? If you work on items like that, you will probably have a better place to actually put your skills and grow much better. So sample career paths look like this. So if let's say you administer of web development, let's say you've done a little bit of web development, you've worked on a client's website, even if it's a simple HTML website or a framework or so on and so forth, start learning a little bit about whatever you do and enhance it. Like if you're a web developer, try and find out, so how do WordPress sites get hacked? Which are these tools? Which are these things that are called vulnerabilities? What are these things that are called exploits? How do they brute force my passwords? How do I make sure that I secure myself from getting hacked on my WordPress and so on and so forth? So if you start from those little tidbits, it's much easier to grow because you're focusing your interest on what you actually have worked on before. And it's not something so difficult when you start from something like that. I will not be talking through all the PowerPoints because it will take a little bit more time, but I will share this PowerPoint later on. And if you have any other questions or any questions, you will probably pass them to Jimmy or to me if I probably log out or something like that. But you can just always query. My Twitter username is Jade Thuo, so you can probably get me easier on that. So the next thing is gain practical experience. So you have already gotten to the point that you know what you want to do. You know you want to do mobile, you know you want to do web, and maybe you're stuck where you're not really sure. Do I do web? Do I do mobile? Do I do GSM? Do I do reverse engineering? My personal opinion is when you're stuck, you already kind of know you want to do InfoSec. That's a very huge step. It's like you want to go to Nairobi. It doesn't matter wherever you are. You can be in Laikipia, you can be in the US, you can be in Tanzania, you can be wherever, but you know your destination. Your destination is InfoSec. So the first thing is first try and gain the practical experience. I always tell my students, try everything. Don't limit yourself to, oh, I fear mobile, I fear web. Try everything. You don't know what is your knack. You don't know what is your worst or best experience, and so on and so forth. So you might try web and go like, oh, I'm not about to learn 67 languages so that I can be able to understand how frameworks work. Or it's not essentially that's how it is. I'm just saying maybe that's not for you. You can move from that step and go to mobile, and you're like, okay, this is interesting. I would like to know how mobile phones work, how they transmit their data, how to capture that data, how to manipulate that data, how to modify that data, how to getting back responses from that data, how to understand that data, and so on and so forth. You might jump into something like reverse engineering, which might have like a learning curve or something, but try it out. Try the fast, easiest options that you see on CTFs. Don't go for the really complicated things that they might disappoint you. In my personal opinion, I would rather jump onto something that I find like interesting or easy, fast to adapt to. Then I can grow from there. Just learn how to crawl, walk, run, and fly, basically. So just start from a practical point of view. If you want to learn how to hack websites, look at websites. What are the frameworks that they're using? What are the softwares that they're using to guard themselves? What monitoring systems do they use? What does an administrator need to know when they're applying for their job? And then look at what are the security aspects that I can try and bypass, this website, this system, and so on and so forth. So start with gaining practical experiences. So this comes from CTFs. So CTFs are capture the flags. So these are vulnerable systems that are created by groups or people, so that you can be able to train your skills. Don't ever fall back by saying, hey, CTF is not a real life scenario. You'll be very surprised. Most of the tools that you use to exploit the CTFs are the same tools that you use on real life scenarios. The same exploits you use on the CTFs are the same ones you use in the real life scenarios. And even the methodologies that you're working, they basically work like that. So oh, we got an unlimited time offer. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so that's the first. The second thing that I think you should probably jump onto. If you want to get into InfoSec, like not just as a hobby or a skill, you want to actually push it to a career or an occupation, in my personal opinion, get an IT job that points to this. Starter jobs are very, very important in my personal opinion. Before I became a full-on InfoSec or information security consultant, engineer, and so on and so forth, the first thing I did was I was a developer. You don't necessarily have to follow my path, but there's so many other things that you can see, like right here. So there's computer programmer, there's a software engineer, support specialist, computer system analyst, database administrator, IT technician, IT technical support, IT customer service. Any of this will help you to understand how systems work, because you'll be able to troubleshoot, talk through a customer, be able to read reports, be able to read documents that support, you know, especially with what you're probably trying to achieve. Let's say you are a customer service provider for something like Jumia. So the software that they use, I believe, is Magento. So you will go and learn what Magento does, what's the issues with Magento. You will know what are the default passwords and usernames. And those are very, very critical, especially when you're getting into this field. I have never actually found a system that is foolproof from hacking. And most of the issues are default configurations, vulnerabilities on the systems, not being patched, and so on and so forth. So you will get this understanding when you're in a place like, you know, customer service or so on and so forth. So these are one of the best places to actually get a very good experience from. So maybe there are people who are asking, okay, I don't have I don't have like credentials to work on, you know, items like, you know, computer systems analysts and database administrators, blah, 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 blah. So you don't have that. So how do you tackle that? We'll get to that. And if I probably forget it, someone please remind me. We'll get to that at the near the end. So the other thing that you need to do is building your cybersecurity resume. So this is the bit that I was actually talking about. So you probably don't have your degree, you don't have a diploma, you don't have, you know, a certificate to join a certain job, and so on and so forth. For me, cybersecurity is one of the best jobs because of one thing. If I was trying to be a doctor today, I doubt that anyone will actually hire me without, you know, a certificate saying that this is a certified doctor or a doctor who has a degree, and so on and so forth. But in cybersecurity, it's quite different. You can actually do the job without the certificates and the diplomas and the degrees and so on and so forth. Partially because you can demonstrate your skill, but nobody is going to tell you, is going to allow you to rather open up their heart and, you know, probably sew it back if you have a surgery issue or so on and so forth, just because you have skill. But in information security or information technology, in most cases, if you're a very good developer, you'll get a job, or you'll get jobs or consultation and so on and so forth because of your skill. So the first thing is you need to start building your resume. So building your resume, there's so many platforms that have allowed us to be able to build resumes. So the first one is, in my personal opinion, GitHub. So for me, GitHub holds repositories to every kind of tool available. It can be an AI tool, a blockchain tool, a cryptocurrency tool, an IoT hacking tool. It can be a framework for websites. It can be pretty much anything. So in my personal opinion, this is the best career to get into, especially if you do not have any papers. It requires more skill than actually the certificates around. It's good to actually have certificates. I'm working on actually getting some of these certificates. But in my personal opinion, it's better if you grow your skill, because skill will get you inside these companies. You'll get probably a salary, or you get payment, and you can be able to, you know, pay for these certificates. If they don't pay for you, you can probably do that for yourself. So in my personal opinion, building your cybersecurity resume is the ideal thing. So work on that. After you've gotten, you've gotten your foot into the door, you can be able to extend much further. You can even grow much further than probably you expected or on your expectation. So what do you need to list on your resume? So this is especially when you're looking for a job. Most people will ask, like, so what do I list in my resume? What do I say I have? So the first one normally is your college degree. And I know I did mention about like lacking this degree, but for those who have that, it's very essential. It shows that you went through the process, you kind of understand some of the processes. It does help you get through most companies, but these days startups and new companies and big companies like Google will not be really looking for your degrees and so on and so forth. And don't be afraid to actually shoot your shot to these big companies. As long as you have the skill, as long as you have the right mindset, I believe that most people will actually get so many opportunities from that. So you can list your college degree. You can list relevant job experiences. The other thing you can also do is this, your hard IT skills. So your hard IT skills is what you've been able to do. You blog about it, you put it on GitHub, you shared it on Twitter, you shared it on Reddit, you shared it on different platforms. You are on a group like Discord, you're on different places that you can be able to share this individual hard IT skills that you have gained from maybe the CTFs, something that you've gained from your previous work experience, or something that you just tested out, maybe something like you set up the latest WordPress, you managed to be able to bypass some of the restrictions or the authentications. And those are those hard IT skills that you need to actually mention. If I showed you my resume, I'll be very honest. I think the education bit is this big, but anything else that I've ever tried doesn't have to be cool, doesn't have to be paid, doesn't have to be the most latest hacking method that is out there, doesn't have to be an ODE. It just has to be whatever I have tried and I have probably succeeded, or I have learned something new, or I have created something out of it, and so on and so forth. So just list everything about that. So we'll talk about what you can be able to list, so you don't go hack a website like nation.co.ke and then directly put that like hacked, so on and so forth. But you can be able to probably test that system, talk to the administrator on a very good responsible disclosure. And once they give you like the go ahead like to publish the information, you can redact some of the things and publish it, and actually use that on your resume and say, hey, I found a bug that looked like this, and so on and so forth. And under the resume, you can probably reference and say, hey, these are the references that you can talk to, maybe in terms of the work that I've done, responsible disclosures that I've done, and so on and so forth. So work on your hard IT skills. So there are other things like professional IT certifications. So there are, in my opinion, some of them are beginner and some of them are a little bit complex because they require much more time, they require much more skill, they require much more commitment. And in some instances, they are a little bit more pricey. So you'll find some IT certifications are very, very pricey, like 700,000 and above Kenya shillings, that is $7,000 and so on. But it shouldn't deter you. The first thing that I believe you should work on, and most HRs look at, are the beginner security certifications such as Security Plus and CEH. These are very essential to get your foot inside the door of, you can work towards that IT certification. It makes sure that the HR sees that you understand the procedures that the company expects to be followed, because the CEH certification does have some procedures that are outlined, and most companies will use the same procedures. Security Plus will have the same, and so on and so forth. Even network maintenance certifications, CCNA, and so on and so forth, they have different paths that they always follow towards. So in my opinion, Once you get your foot into the door, work on these beginner security certifications. Most of them will cost between $300, that is 30,000 Kenyan shillings, onwards to $600, that's around 60,000 Kenyan shillings. And I believe that's when you've already gotten into your path. But right now, when you're starting off, just work on your skill, work on CTFs, work on reading documentations, work on testing your skill, testing yourself, and so on. So the other things is, as I told you, list any IT and cybersecurity achievements. As I mentioned, this include even the capture the flags. So if you went and worked on a capture the flag and you won, always mention that. I have a person that I follow on Twitter, and one of these guys is a very young guy. I believe his name is called Trevor, and Trevor lists and documents every CTF he's ever participated in. I go through the CTFs, and if I was in a position that I was looking for someone to hire, I will take Trevor like this, because he understands the process through the CTFs. He knows how to document his findings. So already I have like a couple of things that I can tell about Trevor. He's very good skill-wise. He's good on documentation. And that person, to grow them is much more easier than picking someone from scratch who doesn't have an idea on all those things. So in my personal opinion, work on listing every single IT job that you've, even if it's a trial, even if it's a hobby that you are trying out, even if it's a 30-minute hack that you are trying out and you manage to get through to it, in my personal opinion, work towards that and list all your achievements. Don't feel like this achievement is not big enough. Don't feel like this achievement doesn't have the right traction. Just list it. Someone will pick it from there. Personal experience, I worked on so many GSM hacking techniques, and I put them all on a blog. That was around 2013. 2015, someone reached out to me, gave me my first international job. And beside it paying quite well, the experience was amazing. The skills that I gained from that, the network that I gained from that was super huge. So in my personal opinion, list everything. Make sure you put it on a blog, put it on Medium, put it on Twitter, put it on a Facebook post, put it on a LinkedIn post. Someone will reach out. I kid you not, if it's something that is very interesting, someone will pick an interest on it. And just always work on growing it. Don't feel like you're stagnating just because you're working on so many CTFs. Oh, trust me, the more CTFs you work on, that's actually one of the essences of passing some things like OSCP. You'll go and read through most of these guys' blogs after they pass their OSCP. They'll tell you, I did 100 CTFs, I did 60 CTFs from this list, and 20 from this list, and 10 from another list, and so on and so forth. So don't feel frustrated when you don't really find the solution. Use even the walkthroughs that you find on CTFs. If you Google a certain CTF and a walkthrough, don't be afraid to actually test it. Don't be afraid to work on the walkthrough and learn using the walkthrough. Don't be afraid to do that. The only thing I ask or urge you not to do is just get the walkthroughs and just get the points and then say, okay, yeah, I got this and I'm okay. No, try the walkthroughs. Do like 5 more CTFs. Even if you're gonna do them with the walkthroughs, then go to the first one without the walkthrough. See what you pretty much understood. If you don't understand a process that you've done or a command that you've done, please Google it. There will always be a result for it. And if there is no result, pass it to the groups now. Go to Discord, go to Reddit, go to Twitter, look for Jimmy, look for me, look for Bright, look for anyone in the cyber, information cybersecurity space. Talk to them, try and see if they can be able to get a solution for that. In my personal opinion, every time that I've always told someone to Google something, please don't Google the normal. Don't overdo the normal. The normal is how to hack Wi-Fi. It's not a bad query. It's actually a very good search, but try and find out more about the Wi-Fi. How to work WPA Wi-Fi, WEP Wi-Fi, and so on and so forth. So work on Googling a little bit extra, not just the normal. The normal will always give you general answers, and general answers always tend to lead people to think that they are not moving forward. So try and find out more. If you want to reverse engineer a certain file system, don't write how to reverse engineer an application. There are tons of applications, tons of frameworks, tons of languages, tons of architectures. Work on understanding what you're doing. So go and take, like, if it's a router, find out what does the router use. Oh, it's an ARM platform. Good. How to reverse engineer routers on ARM platforms. Then go and try and find out a little bit more how to reverse engineer obfuscated code on ARM router platforms, and so on and so forth. So keep on enhancing like that. All right. So the other thing is teach yourself practical experiences. So what are these practical experiences? Go and try and create a simple program. Let's say you are trying to get into mobile application security. You'll find APKs and you want to extract the IP addresses or the host names that are in that file. So you will find some of them are obfuscated, some are not obfuscated. So create a small script to just pass that file. Let's say it's an APK file, like an Android file, application file. So try and get something that passes it, that reads through all the bytes within it. After that, try and find out, is it obfuscated? How can I deobfuscate it? Can I use other tools and leverage their power to be able to do a certain item? Don't always reinvent the wheel. It's not bad, but it takes more time and it kind of makes you stagnate on some issues. So don't try and always create something new just because you feel like. In my personal opinion, leverage whatever has been built before. If it doesn't work well, you can probably now start working on your own product that can actually, get you into a better step or better results, and so on and so forth. But in my personal opinion, don't keep on trying to recreate or reinvent the wheel. So teach yourself how to code. I know most people go with the intuition that you don't necessarily need to know how to code to get into information security. This is my opinion. Coding is very perceptive of be in an explanation. Let me try and get it this way. Whenever you try and learn how to code, there is an end goal. You either want to become a developer, you probably just want to understand the language, and so on and so forth. In information security, when you are trying how to learn how to code or teach yourself how to code, work on being able to understand what the code does more than development, in my personal opinion. That's what I work on. I try and work on understanding or reading the code. Like I can take a C program, a Java program, a Python program, a Ruby program, a Node.js program, and I can be able to read from the top to the bottom and understand what exactly the code or the functions or the modules entail. That's the only thing, in my personal opinion, you probably need when you're getting into information security. You don't necessarily need to learn how to program like a whole language. Like you don't need to learn how to be a pro at C or VB or .NET or C# or whatever you have. But in my opinion, I would rather you work on one thing. You try and understand how the code reads or understand what the code does. So if you can be able to get that, that's the best, in my opinion, when you're getting into information security. The other thing is build your own computer security lab. You can do this from VMs. You don't need to use old PCs. That was like a while ago. But if you want to test systems, you can buy old phones, running old legacy software, try and exploit them, because there's a ton of exploits and vulnerabilities out there. See how they work, what is the issue, try and secure your computer, try and secure your phone, try and find the best privacy and so on and so forth. Create open source projects that other people can contribute and share them on GitHub, Twitter, and whatever, and what have you. Let people contribute, let people criticize some of your code, let people read through some of your code, let people enhance your code. You will continue learning when you find these enhancements in your code. You will be able to say, okay, I kind of have understood why I should have used this if statement or not an if statement, and so on and so forth. So all that. Work on now items like guided training when you get to different levels. This is a little bit advanced, but it's something that is very crucial. If now you want to move from the point you are a beginner, an intermediary, a professional, now you want to go to an expert level, work on items like guided training. So guided training, I personally don't tell people to get into guided training before they have understood where they want to be, where they will focus their skill set, how they will list their skill set, how they will be able to report on their skill sets, let's say like blogging and so on and so forth. I first recommend you go through that process before you go into guided training. The problem with guided training, in my personal opinion, and it's something that you will note, some of these guided trainings are limited to a certain amount of days or a certain time period, like 5 days. So you'll get some guys training you for 5 days. This training works effectively if you know what the context is. So when the 5 days come, you can be able to understand and adapt and learn very quickly. But if I took you through 5 days of exploiting a Windows driver kernel, or rather Windows kernel driver rather, you will probably get stuck in between. What is ASM? What did he talk about reversing? What tool is that? Why did he load up IDA? And what script is that? What is PYC? What is that? What is he running? So it becomes a very big issue. So personally, I will start first honing your skills, getting the right focus, working on your skill set, then going to the guided training. Some of these guided trainings, like if you look at OSCP, it has timeframes between 30, 60, and 90 days. Very, very good certification, amazing certification, will get you very, very good skill sets. But if you have not trained maybe on the CTFs before, you end up getting inside that program and things will just be flying right off the bat. Like you will just be saying, okay, I know that, but what the hell is that and that and that and that? What is that? What is that? So try and first focus on building your skill and documenting your skill, getting into an IT job so that you can be able to probably understand how configurations are set up, how systems are set up, network are set up, and so on and so forth. Get a little bit of development so that when you go to try and create a script to do a buffer overflow, you can be able to understand this is the port number I'm specifying here, this is the socket library I'm calling here, and so on and so forth. So get into guided training much later on when you have gotten your skills up. So the other thing I would say is, I mentioned this a little bit, joining groups and so on and so forth. So this is networking and volunteering. So always volunteer to teach. You learn so much when you teach. I have seen so many people come up. I have seen Amajit, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, come up from asking questions to becoming a very good and renowned trainer, and his growth is going on up and above and beyond. So work on that, work on volunteering. Hey, I want to teach how to do a denial of service. I want to volunteer how to teach how to do API testing. This is when you get your skill up, whatever you've learned, even if it's on a CTF, go take the same CTF, show people what you learned. There's someone who's struggling to get past that CTF or maybe a certain point. and they're going to learn something. And when you teach, people ask you questions, and these questions also clarify, am I on the right path? Am I growing? Am I not going somewhere? Am I on the best course that I should take? Am I on the same focus that I started with, and so on and so forth? So it's very important to do that. So other things is read a lot. My personal experience is every time I wake up, I normally will open my socials. Bad habit, I know, but I'll wake up and check my socials very quickly, like a Twitter, so on and so forth and so on. But I always end up in something like Reddit and Medium, and those are my two very important places to get information security tips and tidbits and news. So I'll go and see someone who exploited XSS on a certain platform or on API and so on and so forth. And I will try and go through it as much as maybe sometimes I will get lost understanding. I will not work towards going and replicating the same information, but I will read up on it so that I can be able to tell, is this the right path? What tools are new? What tools are being used? Which is a faster tool, which is a better tool, and so on and so forth, which is a better methodology, which is a better API, and so on and so forth. So in my opinion, work on items like Reddit, follow very good topics that can be able to guide you, like reverse engineering, if that's what you want. Mobile security, look that up. Networking security, look that up. OSCP, look that up. There is all these different topics, and you can follow them and see, new tidbits, new information that you can work on. So the other thing is like work on security stack exchange. So security stack exchange has a lot of information where you will see someone asking a question, they're probably stuck somewhere, and you'll see a response. And those responses work for you and can be used to probably even, maybe you're stuck somewhere and you're testing something like a WordPress site, and maybe your scripts are timing off. You'll see someone write an explanation of why something timed off, or why you should use a lower thread count, and so on and so forth. You'll get all these little tidbits in all those bits where you can just have to read. You really necessarily have to read. So not only that, you go to GitHub, go to the issues pages of a certain tool. You will learn so much because someone will explain how they exploited something, but an error came up, and so on and so forth, and you'll be able to understand a tool much better. So read, always read. So as we're about to just wind up, so learn which are the useful IT skills and certifications to have. Don't just get a certification because you generally feel it's a comfortable place. You might end up stagnating if you choose the wrong certification. Let's say you want to do reverse engineering and malware analysis. I wouldn't point you to CEH or OSCP. I will point you to something different, like reverse engineering from SANS, reverse engineering and malware analysis from SANS. That would be a much better certification than jumping onto something that is, let's say, something like network and offensive security, or maybe web security, and so on and so forth. So work on useful IT skills and certifications. So some of these items where you can probably point yourself into, you can go and get a certification in programming, let's say like C, C++, C#, Java, and so on and so forth. These are going to be very important, let's say when you're doing app security or web security. If you work on items like operating systems and databases, you probably will be on a very good path to probably do something like, let's say, red teaming and maybe blue teaming. In terms of blue teaming will be something in regards to defending the networks or the systems. So that would be best. Networks, you'll probably do a certification under OSCP and so on and so forth. And then there are other bits like specializations where you work on cloud computing, containers, VM applications, cryptography, exploit development. Those specializations are a little bit different. So you will work on different certifications also. So I believe that's it from my side. I hope I did not take up a lot of time, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to shoot them. I believe there's some questions, and let me just answer some of this. So someone said, that's so true. I have an MSc in cybersecurity from the UK, just got back home, but I'm even scared of applying for jobs. The imposter syndrome is real. It is indeed. But I will suggest to first forget that and work on applying as much jobs as you can, because as I can see, you do have a very good degree, a whole master's. Get into the job. A very good company will help you grow. Don't be afraid to get fired. I think I speak for myself to say that I've been fired twice, but I learned in all those aspects, and not out of negligence or anything, but just, you know, not being up to probably par, but I got to a certain place that, you know, you have to start somewhere. So start somewhere, don't be afraid, work on that, apply for as many jobs as possible. Don't be afraid, it's a huge thing. There are days that we wake up and you feel like you're not adequate, yet some of your friends and followers will tell you, hey, I feel like you have been an inspiration and so on and so forth. And you're like, ooh, if you only knew that I'm also scared. But please don't be afraid, work towards applying for those jobs. Push yourself. You will never know how the ocean is until you leave the port or the harbor. So push yourself. So kindly send me your number. I currently don't understand what you're talking about, but I love cybersecurity. Here's my number, your support, so on and so forth. So I shared my Twitter account. That would be probably easier. I think that would probably be easier. Jade Thuo is my Twitter account. Please reach out to me through Twitter. Jimmy is Jimmy Wayans on Twitter. He will also share the usernames here. So please reach out through there. It would probably be much easier to curate and answer your questions. Any cybersecurity communities in Kenya or Slack channels? Yes, Faris, there is a ton of them. So they're going to be shared just after the session. So let's just hope you will find a fitting place right in those channels. So there's WowSec for women. There is also Akira Chicks. They also handle that. There is Africa Hackon. There is also one that I am forgetting, and I need to really remember because Laura will have my head bitten off for this. I didn't have breakfast, Laura. So there's a ton of channels. So yes, there's She Hacks. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So there's She Hacks. Join She Hacks also. There's Africa Hackon, there's Pentest KE, there's a ton of them. So Jimmy will share most of them. There's training programs under Creative Grounds. Jimmy will talk about that, and you will get probably any information that you need from there. I saw someone else ask, hi, this is Gaido. Will you recommend any operating system relatable to cybersecurity? In my opinion, please, 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 and I beg this of you, don't focus so much on the operating system. I will surprise you to tell you that there are people who work on Windows and they are very, very, very good on that. And people will tell you, oh, Windows will not do what Linux, blah, blah, blah. But in my opinion, there are already 3 OSs that I can suggest for you. So one is Parrot, OS, Kali Linux, and also Black Arc or Arc Assault, whichever you choose. In my personal opinion, try Parrot OS. It's much more pretty than the rest and quite easy to work with. Try it out on a virtual machine. Don't first do it as your main OS, and then grow from that. Hey, Michael. Oh, Hillary. There's Hillary. Hi, Hillary. Really missed you, buddy. Look for me. We need to have our lunch. Michael, man, you've disappeared. Thank you so much. She-Hacks, thank you. Guka, thank you so much. Thank you for that. Are there beginner entry-level jobs for cybersecurity? Yes, they are. There are a ton of them. Most of them will not be how can I say it, covered in the glory of cybersecurity. Some of them will start off with something very, very small, like, you know, network administration. It will start with something. I did mention a couple of them on the slides. So they will have items like very, very little tidbits like network administration, app security management, app security testing, and so on and so forth. So work on small bits like that. Okay, so I see. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much, NG. Thank you, Benson. Thank you so much. Michael, maybe Jade, you could mention how one can monetize their skill apart from getting employed in a legal way. Bug bounties. Yes, I would love to mention this. But I believe Jimmy has a wider scope on this, so I'll let Jimmy answer this. But yes, please, guys, keep in contact with Jimmy regarding items like this. These are very, very good skills to gain. You don't have to work for anyone per se. You will probably just work from home. Even work when you're on vacation, work anywhere when you're doing these bug bounties. Jimmy will talk about them. He has much better information, much more skilled than I am on bug bounties. And I also hope to learn from him. So some of these monetizations, I believe Jimmy will cover them. And if you want another session, I believe Jimmy can set up one so that we can extend maybe on regarding to this. Nice lesson, session, yes. I have learned so much. Thank you, Jones. Felicia Omolo, you asked, hello, is having a CCNA certificate imperative? It is not a must, in my opinion. In my very strongest opinion, I don't have a CCNA. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't get one. If you do feel that it's the right path for you and your focus on your skill is going to go well on that path, get a CCNA, because it's good for networks and so on. So thank you so much, Curtis. The session is not yet ended. Jimmy is coming up to continue, so please don't leave. Hi, Naiku. Naiku is always a very huge supporter of webinars and information security. Karibu sana. Innocent Mambo, pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. Also, I will not be taking any further questions. Jimmy will take over the session from now. The last one, I think I'll just answer, is from Anthony Wugoma, where he's asked, when are you going to do that vlog on your earlier hacks? AMA NDAs do their thing. We wanted to do a small YouTube session, a live YouTube session with Jimmy. This is going to be coming up, where we're going to be talking our earlier hacks, our arrests, our dramas, pretty much everything you need to know. And maybe we can engage further on that. So we are working on that. Creative Grounds is going to be the one taking up that. So pester Jimmy until we get this thing done. So entry-level certifications like CCNA and CEH at least help someone pass through HR filters towards that dream job if you can get it. Yes, the very, very, very true, Benson Macharia. Very true and very correct. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I am handing over the session back to Jimmy, and he'll continue as we go on. Thank you so much. If you get any question, please forward it onto the group and we will answer. I see one last, two questions. Please let me just answer these two, but no more. Hi Jade, I currently have an India certification, ICSP. It's a beginner level. How valid will it be in Kenya? I believe the best thing to enhance a certification that has not been introduced so much in Kenya is to show your skill set. So anything that you've ever worked on, be it a simple software, be it a network configuration, blog about it so that someone can be able to understand what the certification is about and how it generally has helped you. That will be the best and easiest way, in my opinion. What's the importance of understanding machine architecture in cybersecurity? I think Jimmy will cover that because he has a wider scope. Thank you guys. But if it's not covered, just don't hesitate to shoot me a DM or just a, what do you call it? A tweet. That would be the easiest way. So name is Jade Thuo, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Jade. We really appreciate that. That was awesome. Personally, I've learned some new stuff.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Thank you for having me. If I drop off, I have to drop someone somewhere. So in case I'm not around, guys, Jimmy is going to take over.
No problem. Maybe you can just type in your handle for Twitter and the comments of the guys can reach out to you.
Okay, let me just type it up.
Awesome.
So that is Jade Thuo, and this is my blog. Thank you so much, Martin. Asante sana. I'll hit you up. I'm coming to South B later on, so I'll hit you up. jedthuo.com. There we go. There's my blog in case you want to just follow the blog. So I'll share the PPT with Jimmy. Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
All right, guys. So let's take to the next one. Thank you, guys. And I won't take so much time. This one I'll ensure we just go through because Jade has covered a lot of stuff, like good stuff. So let me share my screen. And there we go. So I won't take much of our time. I'll just take us through the simple and the basic stuff that we need to do. And we'll look at the careers that we have in cybersecurity. What is it that you can do? And from there, we'll proceed. So this is going to be cybersecurity career path that you should be following in case you want to, get into the industry and understand how things work in general. So what we're going to talk about is a career path in cybersecurity. We'll also talk about why you should choose a career path in cybersecurity and also look at the current trends in the market. And lastly, we look at the future of cybersecurity. So all of this is going to be covered shortly, let's say 10 to 15. But now there's a question. Somebody will ask, what is an average salary of a cybersecurity job? Martin, kindly mute.
I think you'll have to mute for him.
I'm not sure. Let me find out. So we'll proceed. So a general question that normally people ask is, what is an average salary of a cybersecurity specialist? That's a question that is not easily answered, but then we look at it as a general term. So basically, according to PayScale report, you can check PayScale website online. They say that an average of 75 USD is made per year by a cybersecurity specialist. And this ranges from 51,000 to 170,000 globally. So it generally depends in which country you are set. Instance in Kenya, of course, we can't say that's the amount, but the good thing about cybersecurity is that you can do it remotely. You don't have to be there in that country particularly, but you can work remotely. And it's possible because I know people are making such kind of money and they're just consulting with big companies, not in Kenya, some in the UK, some still in Africa, let's say South Africa and all that. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what we'll expect. And could be more, could be less, but something range from that side. So we also talk about cybersecurity roadmap. The career path in cybersecurity can be broken down into 3 parts. So somebody asked that question about the jobs in entry level. We'll cover that. So you have an entry level, mid level, and a senior level. These three categories put in place have different jobs and different opportunities for different entry levels and mid level and senior level. Looking at the entry level, we can have, for instance, the cybersecurity analysts. For instance, the job that you might take up would be a SOC analyst. SOC stands for Security Operations Center. This can be a job that you might do from an entry level. And salary, this is from Kenya, you could get from 65,000 to 150,000. If you're doing it on a global scale, you could do close to 200,000 maximum being a SOC analyst. So definitely this is something you might want to look to. And if you want to do things like SOC analyst, you must be good at network, SIM, understand how they work, be able to notify the administrator in case of detected issues in the systems and all that. We also have mid-level. In mid-level, we have cybersecurity architects, for instance, a penetration tester. You could earn from 80,000 to 250,000, depending on where you work. Locally, it's possible to achieve, but not to that maximum level. But what I understand is in Kenya, you could get from 65 to 120 Gs being a penetration tester in a company. And at the same time, being a penetration tester, you could consult to different organizations. And that is much, much more better. If you build yourself to the level where you can consult to a company or let's say a government institution, you'll be earning more than $500,000 and above, because doing a penetration testing job quite pays a lot of money. We also have senior level where we could talk about a cybersecurity engineer, for example, a cybersecurity head in a company who could earn from 150,000 to $500,000, depending on the place they're working and even the company they're working. So definitely the higher you go, the higher amount of money you get on any particular level. So just to sum it up, this is how it will look like if you're doing a path in a cybersecurity. At the entry level, we have cybersecurity specialist technicians. You could be a cybercrime analyst investigator. You could be an incident analyst, responder, and you could also be an IT auditor at the entry level. When you get to the mid level, you could be an analyst, and analyst covers a whole lot of things, just like we mentioned. And after that, you could go to an advanced level where you could be a manager, a cybersecurity engineer, or even a cybersecurity architect. So all of these sums up into a cybersecurity consultant job. At any level that you might be, you could still consult and you could still earn money. That's the beauty of doing cybersecurity. It's flexible enough as long as you build yourself to the level whereby people trust your work and be ready to work with you and you deliver in a way that is exceptional. So we also have the pathway that I've just mentioned, but this one is in a clear way. So there's also a networking aspect of it. There's software development. Somebody will say there's a difference between software development and cybersecurity. In software development, we have what we call secure software development. This means you have to develop an application or a software having in mind security as a key thing. So in each and every phase as you create the application, there are teams like for testers, the QA, quality analysts, to ensure that everything that is being developed is secure. So you could work as part of the software development team, but in charge of security. You could also be a system engineer, financial and risk analyst for banks and financial institutions, security intelligence, among other things. Next, we'll look at why you should choose a career in cybersecurity. Definitely, there's a whole lot of things other than flexibility, other than getting money. There's also practicality in terms of unlimited growth, plenty of variety. The job has real impact. And most importantly, you get good earnings in terms of salary, because it's a very, very competitive career in this world. And we'll see as we move forward. So the reason why you should consider a career in cybersecurity, I've just narrowed it down to 10 reasons. We have unlimited growth, ability to solve puzzles, just like Jade mentioned, CTFs. CTFs kind of sharpens your thinking, sharpens your skills, and makes you think more. The beauty about the industry of cybersecurity is very, very specific, because it's not a boring thing, and you have to be exceptional in how you think. You have to be a problem solver by all means. When you do CTFs, it's kind of a challenge, but the good thing about CTFs is absolutely you already know there's a solution. At the end of the day, you just have to find it out. There's only a slight difference when you do a CTF, which is capture the flag, and when you get into the real world scenario. The difference is that in a CTF, you are sure there's a vulnerability somewhere that you have to exploit. In a real world environment, you're not sure whether there is one or there is not. So you have to look more harder, but you could use the same procedure that you use when you're doing a CTF. So there's plenty of variety, increased job opportunities. You could be open up to avenues to create new jobs, among other things. What is the current cybersecurity market trend? So the cybersecurity market revenue stood at 119 US billion in 2019 and is expected to witness a CAGR. I don't know if anyone can answer what that is. Anyone? Before you Google, just try and tell us what it is. If you get it, you get a 1 GB data for free. $5 GB for free.
Consolidated annual growth rate.
Yes, you'll give me your number, I'll send you the data. So that is one thing that is expected to happen between 2020 to 2030. So as you can see, it is not something that is going to fail. It's something actually that is growing. And this is something that is very, very interesting in the field. And that tells you something, that if you get into cybersecurity, you're guaranteed in one way or another, you're going to get a job. Even if you're going to be a consultant, you don't necessarily have to work for companies. You could do it on your own as a consultant, but first things first, you have to build yourself to that level. We also have the key trends in the cybersecurity market where we see 37% goes for phishing. Phishing is a type of attack where an attacker is trying to dupe the target into giving information he or she should not be giving out. We also have network intrusion, we have inadvertent disclosures, stolen or lost device records, and lastly, we have system misconfiguration. As part of your job, you'll be going through a lot of this. Some of them will be required to come up with a framework to fix such problems if you're working as a consultant. And some of this you could be in terms of training, like currently there are trainings that are being done for financial systems to educate guys on phishing attacks. And we all know an example of a phishing attack would be those guys from committee trying to call you or texting you a message telling you maybe you need to change your line or give out details in terms of your personal identifying number, like ID card and all that. There's also total global types of fraud, which is now phishing leading, followed by rogue mobile apps, brand abuse, and Trojan horses. A Trojan horse is a type of malware that comes with a legitimate application. We also have a volume of cybersecurity incident by sector. Financial services, it's always going to be that because people don't hack for fun no more. Sometimes back it used to be fun when you hack somebody and then you try to post it out and brag about it. But nowadays guys go for money. They try to hack as much as possible. In the end, they want to get money. ICT definitely is an avenue for you to get through the systems, which might eventually lead to getting money. So this is just a high level overview of the current cybersecurity trends that we should have a look at. Then there's the global as a service market all over the world. And this also adds up to the growth that we talked about. And the leading market has been North America since 2019. But right now, things are changing, especially in Africa, in terms of attacks that are coming to us. And at the same time, in terms of the growth in how guys are actually taking up cybersecurity seriously, awareness is being done, training is being done. So things are actually growing. In 2019, the market size was 7.8 billion. That was North America and the APAC region. And 2030, the expected all over the world would be 43.4 billion. So definitely, somebody asked about the viability of cybersecurity jobs in the world, but this clearly sums it up because the growth is there. And with the use of devices right now, the IoT, just like Jade mentioned, having devices like mobile application, we are going to an era where everything is going to be done digitally. And that means security is always to be a concern. So that means if you're in cybersecurity, chances are that you'll always have a job. Then next, we have the future of cybersecurity. So there's a group called Cybersecurity Ventures. They predicted that the number of humans on the internet will triple from 2015 to 2022 and reach 6 billion. And by 2030, that number will rise to 7.5 billion people. So that also adds up to what we've just mentioned in terms of ensuring the growth is there, job opportunities there, and the job security is guaranteed, and among other stuff. So the best thing you need to do when you get into cybersecurity, now that you already know there's a viability in terms of getting a job, what you need to do is immerse yourself in trying to understand and learn skills that are required. Because it takes self-discipline, it takes self-motivation. Cybersecurity, I'll tell you from my own experience, is not something that you sit somewhere, somebody will teach you 1, 2, 3, and then tomorrow you wake up to be good at it. That is a very big lie. The truth is you have to learn every single day. Even the experts themselves, they wake up every morning and then you find there's a new technology, you have to understand how it works. You have to understand what are the vulnerabilities that could be exploited in such scenarios and all that. So it takes a whole lot of effort. It's not an easy field as much as it's a very interesting field. You have to have that self-drive and always try to learn something. It's a good thing. So somebody would say, I don't know where to start. Of course, there are a lot of resources out there. You could go to Google, GitHub, and a whole lot of other platforms to find these resources. But it's just like swimming in an ocean where you don't know where to start and where to end. That's why you also need like a mentor or a group that will give you direction on where to start and where to take. Because currently in cybersecurity, Jade mentioned there are different career paths that you can take. You could be a network administrator, you could be a software developer who does secure software development and a whole lot of things. You could be like a malware analyst, but all this requires you to have a certain level of understanding of how these things work. So how do you go about that? There's always the need to understand where to begin and the need to understand who to give you that strength to move forward. So from my side, I would say that's it. I didn't want to take so much of our time. And lastly, we also have a cybersecurity course from Creative Ground Technologies. This is a part of our ethical hacking course that is being done currently. So if you're interested, you could go to their website and sign up, and then you'll get details to move forward. So the next intake is for 3rd to 8th of May, and the cost is 15,000 Kenya shillings. For those who will be interested, you can visit the website and then you'll understand more on that. Right now, I'd welcome any questions from you guys because I didn't want to take so much of our time. Any question? Felicia is asking, would you advise a person to transition from Windows to Debian-based operating system when it comes to matters of security? There's also a question where if you go for an interview to any bank, especially in Kenya, they always ask you a question like between Windows and Linux, which one is secure? So most of the guys would go and say Linux. People would say Windows, but that is very wrong because the answer is very simple. Both of them are secure depending on how you secure them. So I wouldn't say I would advise someone to transition from Windows to Debian-based machine operating system, generally because it depends with your strength. Where do you feel comfortable with? Of course, with a Linux machine, it's more flexible as compared to Windows because you could do a whole lot of customization, install a lot of tools as compared to Windows. I would say this from my personal experience. You need to be good with the Linux because in the very end, if you're going to be a security guy, Linux is going to be one of the tools you always want to use. So be comfortable with both is good because there's also the business aspect when it comes to cybersecurity. Be able to use both systems, okay? There's a moment where you want to do a presentation. Of course, you can do it on Linux, but it's more kind of easy to do it on a Windows machine. So I would say be good at both of them. Don't transition exactly to leave the other one behind. And James is asking, what are the course times? There weekend course available. To my understanding, I think they'll be doing a 2 hours session every day in the evening, and then 2 to 3 hours on a Saturday. But there's an option for you to choose when you're signing up, which time are you available for that. Ian is asking, any tips on how to develop the practical skills other than CTF? The concepts are normally easy to pick up, but the implementation, especially with the Kenyan education system, is a challenge. Like I mentioned, cybersecurity is more on self-taught, especially in this country, because I've not come across any institution that will teach you cybersecurity from A to Z. So other than CTFs, build your own lab, understand, try bug bounty programs, because that is where you gain knowledge and understand things on your own way. So CTFs will be an entry level for you, yes, but as you move forward, try to do more advanced kind of CTFs because CTFs, they're different levels also. Also try to, build your own lab, try to exploit things on your own. That way you learn. The most interesting thing that you want to do is go to bug bounty programs. Read a lot of write-ups because it gives you insights on how you need to think and how you need to approach stuff. JB is asking, are there companies in Kenya that have a SOC mature? No, really. The ones I know are internal, not to be mentioned outside. But yes, there are those that have theirs internally. Naeku is asking, can you guys together with Jade do a session on preparing for cyber job interviews? Definitely, yes, we'll have that in place. So I will be having a weekly session on different topics. Look out for this session on our Twitter handles, and definitely We'll be keeping you guys up to date with anything and everything. Hilary is asking, how is it on CNAC? CNAC is good. Pay is not as much as compared to HackerOne, but the beauty about CNAC is they prepare you very well. Their system is built in such a way that they will tell you if there are vulnerabilities that are already the application is experiencing, then they could give you like a guidance on how you go about it. So it's like spoon feeding you, more likely, in as much as the money is not that much, but it's a good place to start and earn good money. Brian, I agree with you on that. Yes. Ian, okay. So JB is asking, how is security and automation related in the current cybersecurity industry? Automation is actually coming up very quickly in terms of automating stuff. And cybersecurity is related in that because automation is more of machine learning and AI and all that. And we understand these are things that are going to be more statically learning. So with cybersecurity, it makes it easier to try and explore the vulnerabilities in these machine learning aspects because they're not humans. They don't reason on their own. They depend on certain information fed by humans. So definitely cybersecurity comes in by ensuring we could manipulate the information that this automation is going to depend on. Must you have a very good background on developing languages to transition into cybersecurity? Absolutely no. And I think Jade mentioned a little bit of it. Cybersecurity is not about programming. It's a good thing to understand how to program, but it's not a necessity that you need to know how to program. You could do well without definitely having learned how to program, but it is a plus for you if you understand how a program works. I would say it's not a must to be good in programming languages, but be able to read the code and understand what it does. There's a big difference between reading and understanding the code and being able to code. Myself, there are certain languages, yes, I can code, but I'm good at reading and understanding. If I look at a code, I would say, okay, this code is going to do 1, 2, 3. So that is the basic thing that you need to know and not necessarily being able to code. Which are some of the bug bounty programs you would recommend? The public bug bounty program, start at HackerOne, Crowds, what's Crowd what? Hilary, you know that name, Crowd something, I've forgotten the name. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I'll just link them when I'm sending this PPT to you guys. Apart from Safaricom, any other local program? Safaricom is the only local program I'm aware of. Backcrowd, thank you. So you could do Backcrowd or HackerOne. There you can do a lot of things because there are many public programs that you can work on. Does AI threaten the future of persons working in cybersecurity? Absolutely no. It actually makes it interesting because, like I've mentioned, AI depends on the human-fed information and data. So cybersecurity is about exploiting such kind of information that we feed to these systems. So I wouldn't say it does threaten, but if you look at it in a broader way, you say like antiviruses are part of AI because they learn to look at the signatures and understand if you do X, Y, Z, this is malicious. But then again, you know, there are those guys who are able to bypass antiviruses. So definitely it's not a threat, but it's going to make it a bit complicated in terms of exploiting systems because cybersecurity is all about trying to gain access into system and securing them at the same time. So AI can come in a way that it will fix a lot of loopholes that we tend to use in order to gain access or in order to secure systems. It won't be a threat into the future, but kind of it will be complementing each other. Anyone else with anything? All right, so if there are no more questions, I think you can end it at that today. Michael is asking, how did you get into the field? Mine started with an interest for computers. I was living with my cousin at the time after high school. He was a network security engineer, and I got fascinated so much because everything he used to do it on the terminal. So for me, I was like, I would really love to understand how this works. So from there, I started learning, online. There was no much access of the internet at the time, but any opportunity that I would get, I would start to read and understand. So upon that, if I found the term hacking just randomly when I was just Googling stuff, and I fell in love with it. I started to understand what hacking is all about, and from there, things just fall into place. First thing that you need to have is passion, because if you don't have a passion for something, you can't really be good at it. So for me, it was passion and self-driven and self-teaching along the way to this level that I am right now. Somebody is asking, so how many years are you into tech? Close to 8 now? Yep, close to 8. It doesn't matter. Don't look at it in years, because when I started, I used to read on blogs and articles. They used to say it takes a lot of years for you to become a hacker. But for me, I felt the need to be a hacker immediately. It wasn't easy, I'll tell you. But I started with hacking website, doing inspect elements, changing things, then look at it on the website, and I was like, wow, this is it. This is it. I'm not a hacker. So the small things you do here and there may not amount to much at the moment, but in the long run, they'll make you look at it in a bigger and a broader way, then you'll appreciate everything that you learned along the way. Did you get a college education or any certification? No. Sorry to say this, but I dropped out along the way for my own personal reason. Nothing crazy about it, but certifications I'm planning to add. I have a few of them. But even this certification requires that you're good with your skills, because you can't do certification if you don't know anything about them. So it's also good to learn first before you sit for this. College education, maybe now, I don't know, but at my time, I did computer science, but it wasn't as much in-depth in terms of doing things in real world as it is when you read them in theory. Arthur is asking, good presentation. I'm a CCNA MCA certified. Yeah, that's a good thing. We're happy that you learned something new, Arthur. Definitely it will be a good thing at you, Bruce. No. JB is asking, is cybersecurity all about finding vulnerabilities and exploiting system? Absolutely no. Cybersecurity is about securing the cyberspace, because we live in a world where everything is just, interconnected in one way or another. But for our convenience, we need these things to work in a way that they're intended to do. But then again, we have those guys who are malicious, who are doing the exploit of making these systems or tools do things in a way that they are not supposed to. So cybersecurity is about ensuring security of the systems and everything interconnected in the internet space. So we as cybersecurity specialists ensure that the systems are working as expected and the security is as expected. So it's not about exploiting and gaining access to system. That is not the essence of it. Unless you want to be a black hat hacker, which is not something we want you to do, because definitely you'll go to jail and you'll ruin your life for that. In terms of internship, depends on the companies that you approach. I don't know of so many, but I think EY, if you go to Deloitte and some other local companies, they do give internship, but I'm not so sure about that. We'll look at it later. Personally, yes, but not every day. I try to look at things differently, try to build my own stuff. I would say for a beginner, yes, playing CTFs is very critical. Myself, I still do, but not entirely all the time. Okay, so I think that's it for the day. I really appreciate your time, guys, and I hope you got something out of it. So by the end of this, I'm going to share the video plus the PPT so that you guys can learn and any other material that you'll find that you'll need. So from there, if you have any question, feel free to reach out on Twitter and then we'll respond to your question. What are the most? So somebody is asking, Felicia is asking, how is encryption different from hashing? Encryption, hashing is just, how do I put it? There's a difference between, that's part of cryptography. Encryption is in a way that you cannot reverse it without a key. A hashing is an algorithm that you can definitely try and reverse it back. Somebody's asking. So an encryption, the general difference is you need to have a decryption key for that to work. And for hashing, not necessarily. Think of it like base 64. So base 64, you don't need a key to reverse the hashing. But when you're doing encryption, you definitely need to have a key for you to do decryption. So I'll give you some links that you might follow in terms of understanding cryptography at a full large scale. Somebody's asking, what are the most greatest ethical hack jobs you have worked within the country? Just a general idea of NDS don't allow you to. I wouldn't say they are greatest ethical hack jobs, but I would say consulting, even doing a simple penetration testing is a great thing to do. Looking at these mobile applications, how they work, try to see the logic for business, try to exploit that. Those are the things that I would say I've done, and a whole bunch of other things. If you really like to know more of these things, check out my handle on Kawan. You'll see the things I've done for different companies. What precautions should one take to distinguish between ethical hackers and the bad guys? If you want to become an ethical hacker, definitely go by the ethics. Don't try to do things that you know will put you in a situation where you don't want to be in. Always use your skills to better others, use your skills to better systems, use your skills for the good, not for the bad. There's always a temptation of trying to be the bad guy. You know, now you know how to hack. You feel like you want to go and hack a mobile application, you want to hack M-Pesa, you know, you want to hack that mobile application for loans, get the money for free because you're good at it. But in the very end, you realize that if they catch up with you, and they will, what will it work for? You know, you go to jail for the next 10, 15, 20 years. What for? Just because you hacked a mobile application and got a certain amount of money. So it's not worth it. If you gain skills to be a good guy in terms of security, make sure you use the skills to better things and to better other people, not for your own selfish gain. So in as much as we're giving you guys these ideas, in as much as we go through the trainings and learn these hacking skills, always and always ensure that you put it in good use, because if you go and do things that are not supposed to be done, eventually the law will catch up with you and you'll be the one on the losing end. Bruce, check out the website. I'll send the link as well, and I'll be sending an email to you with these resources. So I think that's it, unless there's somebody who has a question. Anyone else? Okay. So thank you for your time, guys, and I hope you all have a good day and a good weekend, and I appreciate your time. So check out your email in the next few hours. You should be having a copy of the recording as well as the PPT for your own perusal at your time. Yes, Michael, this session is going to be happening every Saturday. So expect every Saturday for a session. So be checking out our Twitter handle because we'll be posting anything that will be coming up for every Saturday. So this will be a recurring session for every Saturday. So the slides will be there as well. Thank you guys for your time and do have a beautiful weekend ahead. Bye.